Icebreaker Chapter 7 Rescue. Help! The cry was still weak, but loud enough for them to all hear. It was coming from inside the crevasse. Very slowly, Team X made their way down the rest of the slope. When they got close to the edge, they all got down on their bellies and pulled themselves gently forwards. Keep quiet, all of you. Any sudden movement or loud noise could cause an avalanche, Ant whispered. Cautiously, they shuffled forwards and peered over the edge. There was a small ledge about 15 metres beneath them. Sitting on it, with his back against the icy wall, was a young man. He looked weak and tired. Gladstone, Max called gently down. Gladstone Day? A hairy face, flecked with snow, looked up at them. Who are you? He croaked. We're here to help, replied Cat brightly. But you're children, he said. Then he passed out, slumping onto the ice. The friends pulled back from the edge so they could talk safely. How are we going to get him out? Ant asked. We could lower a rope down for him, said Tiger. He's out cold, said Cat. By the look of him, even if he does come around, he won't have enough strength to hold on to a rope or even tie a knot. That gave Max an idea. Then we'll have to go down there and tie it for him, he said. But the ledge might not take our weight, exclaimed Ant. It will if we're micro-sized. Max, we can't, said Tiger. What if Gladstone wakes up? He'll see us. Yeah, chipped in Cat. That's breaking the rules. No one can know about the watches. Listen, said Max, looking each of his friends in the eye. We have no choice. This is a life or death situation. He smiled then. Besides, Gladstone invents microtechnology, doesn't he? So technically, it's not breaking the rules, just bending them a bit. So what's the plan? Grinned Tiger. Cat reached into her bag and pulled out her thermal flask. Tea break, snorted Tiger. Cat glared at him. Here, she said, pulling the cup off the top and thrusting it at him. I'll lower you and Max down in this. You can tie the rope and Ant and I will pull you up. Then you can have your tea break. Max smiled at her. They all agreed it was a good plan, even Tiger. Quickly, Cat wrapped the thin, strong rope around the cup and through the handle. Then she tied a knot. Ant did some calculations in the snow. He got to work on a winch system that meant they could pull Gladstone up easily. Meanwhile, Max and Tiger turned the dials on their watches anti-clockwise. A bright blue X appeared in the centre of each one. They pushed the X, and in an instant they were both micro-sized. I hope Cat has tied that knot tight, said Tiger, worried. Come on, said Max, climbing into the cup. We'll soon find out. Cat lay on her front, carefully easing the rope through her fingers. She held on tight, knowing her friends' lives were in her hands. Meanwhile, Ant was busy twisting the ice screws and pulleys from his pack into the snow. They were used to mountaineers when they were climbing up frozen surfaces. They laid them in a zigzag pattern away from the edge of the crevasse. Tiger felt his stomach lurch as he looked over the edge of the cup. In his micro-sized state, the crevasse looked even bigger. There was no sign of a bottom. It just disappeared into darkness. Finally they reached the ledge. "Come on," said Max as he leapt out of the cup. Together Max and Tiger untied the knot on the handle of the cup. Then they ran over to Gladstone, who was lying unconscious on the ice. They began to wrap the rope around his waist and under his arms. When they were done, they climbed into Gladstone's coat pocket. Max waved at Kat, who had been watching through the telescope on her watch. "Right," she called to Ant. "Here goes." Ant's pulley system worked well. As Kat and Ant walked backwards, they pulled on the rope. The ice screws helped to take the weight. Even so, they had to use all their strength to pull Gladstone to the surface. Then, when he was close to the top of the crevasse, the hood of Gladstone's coat got caught on a sharp icicle. Kat and Ant were too far back to see what was happening. The harder they pulled, the more stuck he became. Max and Tiger could see only too well what had happened. "What now?" cried Tiger. Max thought fast. "We've got to try to wake Gladstone up." Tiger was already pulling himself out of the pocket. "I'll go," he said. Tiger used the buttonholes in Gladstone's jacket as foot and hand holds. He got to the collar and dragged himself around to Gladstone's ear. "Gladstone," he called. "Wake up!" The man's frosty eyelids flickered, then opened. "What's going on?" asked Gladstone blearily. He couldn't see Tiger. "You're stuck," said Tiger. Gladstone reached sleepily up without thinking. "Oh, hey, yeah." He tugged at his hood. The icicles came loose and slipped through the hole in the hood. It dropped down and speared itself into the ledge below. A large crack appeared. The ice creaked and splintered, and the crack widened. Finally, the ledge collapsed in a shower of snow. Gladstone nodded his head forwards, knocking Tiger to one side. "Tiger!" screamed Max. Tiger yelped and grabbed onto Gladstone's beard. Gladstone looked down and saw Max and Tiger. "Little people," he giggled. Then he passed out again. Tiger kicked his legs and swung himself into the safety of Gladstone's hood. Clear of the icicle, Cat and Ant finally managed to pull Gladstone over the edge of the crevasse to safety.